This is lesson 7.2, Intermediate Algebra, Equations with Absolute Value. Alright, so just a reminder what absolute value is. Absolute value is written with a symbol like that. That means the absolute value of x. What that means is how far is x from 0 on the number line. Alright, so if we have our number line and we say that x is 7, how far is it from 0? 7. Let's say x is negative 7. How far is it from 0? It's also 7. Positive 7. Distances are always positive. How far you go is always a positive. The direction may change and be negative direction, but it's still a positive distance. That's all the negative is here, is it just tells you what distance you're going from 0. It's like you're going left or right, up or down. So left or down is a negative direction. The distance is still 7. It's still positive. So when we deal with absolute values, we're looking for the positive number. So if I'm asking what the absolute value of 7 is, you're going to say, well, it's 7 from 0. If I ask for the absolute value of negative 7, it's also a distance of 7. So we really, when I'm asking the absolute value, we really have two different possible numbers. The number and its opposite. So let's go ahead and look at some of these. If I ask you what the absolute value of negative 5 is, you would say 5. If I ask the absolute value of 6, you would say 6. If I ask what the absolute value of 2a minus 1 is, if that's equal to 7, then this number here, just like we have the absolute value of negative 5 and the absolute value of 5 are both 5. So the absolute value of this is 7, but if I were to put a negative in there, we'd also get 7. So what we're going to do as far as writing these equations is this. When we take the absolute value off to solve, we say that it's equal to 7 or it's equal to negative 7. So when you take the absolute value sign off the equation, you set it equal to the positive number and the negative number. And so you solve it twice. Okay, so you're going to get two answers there that are going to make that a true statement. Alright, let's plug those into this original problem here. I'll show you something. Alright, so we'll do this in white here. So we'll put a 4 in. Put the absolute value sign. So 8 minus 1, 7 equals 7. The absolute value of 7 is 7, which is true. Now let's put the negative 3 in. Two times negative 3 is negative 6 minus 1. Absolute value is negative 6 minus 1 is negative 7. So the absolute value of a negative number is 7. The absolute value of the positive is 7. So both of those answers work. So that's why you have to do both equations here. Alright? So let's keep going with the practice and see if we can clear up any questions that may come up. In example 3. Absolute value of 2/3 x minus 3 plus 5 equals 12. Okay, the only way you can solve these is you've got to isolate the absolute value before you do anything. So we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. Okay? Now we're going to say 2/3 x minus 3 equals 7, and 2/3 x minus 3 equals negative 7. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and solve this. We're going to add 3, and add 3. Okay, we're going to divide both sides by 2/3. And we get x equals, remember to invert and multiply when it says divide. Oops. X equals 15. And over here, we're going to invert and multiply, or divide by 2/3, and then invert and multiply. Negative 12 over 2 is negative 6. So those are my two answers that will make this a true statement. Alright, let's go to example number 4. I'm going to go ahead and make my pen a little bit smaller so I can write smaller. Okay. Can the absolute value of a number equal a negative number? The answer to that is no, because the absolute value of a number is how far away it is from 0. And that's saying that it is negative 4 away from 0. So that does not work. The answer is actually the null set, the symbol for the null set, because the absolute value cannot be negative. Okay? So that's a pretty easy solution there. When you see a negative there on the right hand side by itself and you're comparing the absolute value to it, it can't work. Alright, the absolute value of x minus 5 equals the absolute value of x minus 7. So we have two absolute values there. Alright, so in order for this to be the case, x minus 5 must equal x minus 7. The numbers inside have to be equal. And is that true? Let's see. X equals x, add 5 to both sides. And let's get the x's together by subtracting. And notice we get 0 equals negative 2. We get a statement that is not possible. So there's actually no solution when it comes to this one here. But remember what we said. When we take the absolute value off, we get this. This number equals to this one, or we get its opposite. Okay, so we either get this equals this positive or this equals this negative when we take the absolute value signs. We showed that this one does not exist. Well, let's look at that one. X minus 5, I'm just going to rewrite it here so I have more room. Let's distribute that negative. So negative times a negative is a positive. Let's add 5 to both sides. And let's add x to both sides. And that works. So the number that does work here is going to be 6. Well, let's try it. Six minus 5 is 1. 6 minus 7 is negative 1. Is the absolute value of 1, 1? Yes. Is the absolute value of negative 1, 1? Yes. So they are equal. So this one works. So don't forget to do both equations here, even if you have absolute values like that. Take the absolute value off, and you get one equation. Take the absolute value off, and you get your second equation. Alright, so that is it 4, lesson 7.2. And let's do a couple problems here and then we'll be done. And we'll put the problems on the next video.